ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Yes, definitely. After hyperpolarization, this resting membrane potential is reaches to -70 due to the involvement of a specialized device. Definitely during the hyperpolarization, resting membrane potential is reaches to -90 MV. Then how that kind of the resting membrane potential is written back to the -70, and also how that kind of the sodium which is reaches into exoplasm during the repolarization is reaches to the ECF, how that kind of the potassium from the ECF is written back into the exoplasm. Means definitely after hyperpolarization, sodium which is reaches into the exoplasm during the depolarization, that how to be written back into ECF. Potassium from the exoplasm which is reaches into ECF during the repolarization, how to be written back to the exoplasm. Then how that kind of the sodium potassiums are gets moves towards their sides across the exolemma. Means definitely during the resting by the involvement of sodium potassium pump or sodium potassium ATPase, definitely by the involvement of the sodium potassium pump or by the involvement of the sodium potassium ATPase, sodium which is reaches into exoplasm during the depolarization is sent into the ECF. Again potassium which is reaches into ECF during the repolarization is sent into exoplasm until their concentrations are reaches to normal. Definitely this sodium potassium pump allows movement of 3 sodiums from exoplasm into ECF. With respect to that, it allows movement of the 2 potassiums from ECF into exoplasm at a time. Means sodium potassium pump always allows outward movement of the 3 sodium plus ions from exoplasm into ECF. With respect to that, it allows the inward movement of the 2 potassium from the ECF into exoplasm. In that way, for every 3 sodiums outward movement, it allows 2 potassiums inward movement. This kind of the exchanges occurs between the ECF and exoplasm until sodium potassium concentrations are reaches to equal in ECF and exoplasm. Definitely until the sodium concentration in ECF is reaches to normal, until the potassium concentration in exoplasm is reaches to normal, this rate of exchange of sodium and potassium is taken place between the ECF and exoplasm. In that way, during the resting, due to the involvement of the sodium potassium pump or sodium potassium ATPase, this sodium from the exoplasm is reaches into ECF, potassium from the ECF is reaches into exoplasm. What is the ratio of exchange of the sodium and potassium between the exoplasm and ECF? Means 3:2. Until their concentrations are reaches to the equal in their respective fluid, this sodium potassium exchange between the exoplasm and ECF is taken place at 3:2 ratio. This is the sodium potassium pump. Next if we can observe this generation and propagation of nerve impulse in the form of the graphical representation, then what is the graphical representation of generation and propagation of nerve impulse? Means just assume this is the graphical representation. In this case, this is said to be as the resting. This is the resting state, resting phase. What is the resting membrane potential? Minus 70 MV. This is the threshold phase. Threshold phase, definitely threshold point. Definitely, what is the threshold membrane potential? Threshold potential is minus 55 MV. Again, this is the spike potential. This is the spike potential, that is the plus 45 millivolts. Again, this is the repolarization. This is the repolarization. Again, repolarization potential also minus 70 MV. This is said to be as the hyperpolarization. Hyperpolarization, its value is minus 90 MV. So in that way, definitely if we can observe this generation and propagation of the nerve impulse, definitely that represent the resting phase. In the resting phase, what is the membrane potential? Minus 70 MV. This is the threshold phase. Threshold potential is minus 55 MV. This is the spike potential, means this is the depolarization phase. This is the spike potential, that is the plus 45 millivolt. This is the repolarization, minus 70 MV. This is the hyperpolarization or the undershoot, that value is minus 90 MV. Next to refractory period. Next one is the refractory period. Next one is the refractory period. What is the refractory period means? After immediate generation of the first action potential, it's not possible to generate the second action potential immediately. After generation of the first action potential, it's not possible to generate the second action potential immediately. That is said to be as the refractory period. Just assume, if we can apply the stimulus here, after applying the stimulus, definitely in response to the threshold stimulus, action potential is generated in this particular site. Immediate after generation of the first action potential, if we can apply the stronger stimulus than first stimulus, then second action potential generation is not possible here. Means definitely for generation of the second action potential after generation of the first action potential, at least 0.04 milliseconds duration must be required. That period is said to be as the refractory period. 0.04 milliseconds is required for generation of the second action potential after generation of the first action potential, that period is said to be as the refractory period. After generation of the first action potential in response to stimuli, if we can apply the stronger stimulus immediately, then it's not possible to generate the second action potential. That is said to be as the refractory period. Definitely at least 0.04 milliseconds of time gap must be present between the first and second potentials. So that only after generation of the first action potential, if we can allow the gap of 0.04 milliseconds, after this if we can apply the stronger stimulus than the first, then it is possible to generate the second action potential. This gap is said to be as the refractory period. Again, these refractory periods are of two types. Refractory periods are of two types. What are the two types of refractory periods? What are the two types of the refractory periods means? One is the absolute refractory period. Absolute refractory period. Second one is the relative refractory period. Relative refractory period. Absolute refractory period means if we can apply the stronger stimulus than first, then also if second action potential generation is not possible, 100% not possible, then that is said to be as the absolute refractory period. After generation of the first action potential, though we can apply the stronger stimulus than first, if 100% second action potential generation is not possible, then that is said to be as the absolute refractory period. Because during this period, this axon may be in depolarization condition. Axon may be in depolarization or in repolarization. So that only this axon during the first generation of action potential, that may be in depolarization or repolarization. So that only after immediate generation of the first action potential, if we can apply the second stimulus which is stronger than first, then also it's not possible to generate the second action potential. Because to generate the second action potential, neuron have to be crosses hyperpolarization and resting. During the resting, that is gets prepared during the resting by the involvement of the sodium potassium ATPase, ionic balance is gets returned, ionic balance is recorded, by that way that is gets ready to generate the second action potential. But here neuron is in repolarization and depolarization phase. Due to that, ionic balance is not gets restored until it may be reaches to the resting. So that only 100% second action potential generation is not possible. That is the absolute refractory period. Second relative refractory period means if this kind of the axon is able to generate second action potential after generation of the first action potential relatively lately also, that is said to be as the relative refractory period. Even relatively lately also, if this kind of the axon can able to produce second action potential after generation of the first action potential, then that is said to be as the relative refractory period. Because during this kind of the period, this axon is in hyperpolarization state. This axon is in hyperpolarization state. Due to that, if we can apply this stronger stimulus, axon immediately reaches to the resting, then immediately it may be gets ready to generate the second action potential very fastly. So in that way, if this kind of the axon is able to generate second action potential after immediate first action potential generation with the stronger stimulus, then that is said to be as the relative refractory period, because in this period axon is in hyperpolarization state. These are the refractory periods. Here in object very important. So absolute refractory period is coincides with the depolarization and repolarization. Coincides means during absolute refractory period, this axon is in depolarization or in repolarization. Relative refractory period is coincides with the hyperpolarization. That means during the relative refractory period, this axon is in hyperpolarization condition. Next to conduction speed. Next one is the conduction speed. Next one is the conduction speed. Conduction speed is always directly proportional to diameter of axon. Definitely conduction speed is always directly proportional to diameter of axon. Means what here? If the axon diameter is greater, then this nerve information or the action potential conducted very speedily. Otherwise, if axon diameter is narrow, then this conduction speed is very slow. Definitely in this kind of the axon, this action potential is travelled very fastly when compared to this one, because this is with a narrow diameter. It is with a narrow diameter. It is with a wider diameter. So that here this action potential conduction is very speed when compared to this one. In that way, conduction speed is always directly proportional to the diameter of axon. Similarly, conduction speed is inversely proportional to thickness of wall of axon. Definitely wall of the axon, if it is more thick, then definitely diameter of axon is decreases. If the wall of the axon is very thick, definitely diameter of axon is decreases, then automatically conduction speed is decreases. Otherwise, if the wall of axon is less thick, definitely diameter is greater. By that way, this axon conduct nerve information very speedily. In that way, this conduction speed is directly proportional to diameter of axon. Conduction speed is inversely proportional to thickness of wall of axon. Similarly, in the myelinated axon, conduction speed is 50 times greater than unmyelinated axon. In myelinated axons, conduction speed is 50 times greater than unmyelinated axon. So what is the reason? To conduct nerve information very fastly in myelinated axon than unmyelinated axons means, just assume this is the myelinated axon. In the myelinated axon, this is the internode. This is the internode. This is said to be as the node of Ranvier. In the myelinated axon, nerve information, that is action potential, is conducted in the form of the jumping from one node to another node. From one node to another node, nerve information is conducted in the form of the jumping. That mode of conduction is said to be as the saltatory conduction. That mode of conduction is said to be as the saltatory conduction. In the myelinated axon, nerve information is conducted from one node to another node in the form of the jumping. So that mode of jumping is said to be as the saltatory conduction. That mode of traveling of nerve information is said to be as the saltatory conduction. What is the reason for jumping of action potential from one node to another node means, in this particular node of Ranvier, more and more number of the sodium and potassium channels are concentrated. In this node of Ranvier, more and more number of the sodium potassium voltage gated channels are concentrated, are present. Because of due to this reason, this nerve information can be able to jump from one node to another node. That kind of the movement is said to be as the, that kind of the conduction is said to be as the saltatory conduction. Because of due to the saltatory conduction only, in myelinated axon, nerve information can be 50 times greater faster in unmyelinated axon. Because of due to the saltatory conduction in myelinated axon, nerve information can be travelled for about 50 times faster than the unmyelinated axon. This is the conduction speed. Next to synaptic transmission. Next one is the synaptic transmission. Synaptic transmission what is the synapse? Before going to the synaptic transmission, what is the synapse? What is the structure of the synapse means? Just assume this is the one neuron, this is the one neuron. Again in this neuron, these are the telodendrites, this is the cyton, these are the dendrites, Again, this is the cyton. This is the axon. These are telodendrites. These are the telodendrites. Again, this is the another neuron. This is the another neuron which is present successively to first neuron. This is the dendrite. This is the dendrite of successive neuron. So this is the functional connection. This space is said to be as the functional connection. The functional connection between the two successive neurons, is said to be as the synapse or synapse. Functional connection between the two successive neurons is said to be as the synapse or the synapse. Again, in the synapse, this is the space which is filled with the fluid. This is the space which is filled with the fluid. That is said to be as the synaptic cleft. That is said to be as the synaptic cleft. The fluid filled space which is present between the two successive neurons is said to be as the synaptic cleft. Definitely this synaptic cleft is said to be as the structural gap and functional bridge. This is said to be as the structural gap and functional bridge. Definitely this kind of the space is, though anatomically it is gap, this space though it is anatomically gap, but it is acts as the bridge for conduction of information from this neuron to this neuron. So that only it is said to be as the structural gap and functional bridge. Definitely anatomically it is the space, anatomically it is the gap, though anatomically it is the gap, but it is acts as the bridge for conduction of information from this neuron to this neuron. So that only this synaptic cleft is said to be as the structural gap and functional bridge. It is about with 280 to 320 angstroms. Definitely this width of synaptic cleft is approximately 280 to 320 angstroms. Again, depending upon the size of this synaptic cleft, synapses principally categorized into two types. Before going to that, definitely in this kind of the synapse, this neuron is said to be as the free synaptic neuron. This neuron which is present in front of the synapse is said to be as the free synaptic neuron. This neuron which is present behind to this synapse, that is said to be as the postsynaptic neuron. This is the postsynaptic neuron. Again in the free synaptic neuron, this is the telodendrite. That telodendrite is terminated with rounded structures. These telodendrites are terminated with rounded structures. That rounded structures are said to be as the synaptic knobs or synaptic buttons. These are the synaptic buttons or synaptic knobs. Definitely membrane which is present. In the case of the synaptic knobs, whatever the rounded structures which are present, that rounded structures are said to be as the synaptic vesicles. Synaptic vesicles. Definitely in the case of the synaptic knob, rounded structures which may be present, that kind of the rounded structures are said to be as the synaptic vesicle. In the synaptic vesicle, chemical substances which are present, they are said to be as the neurotransmitters. Chemical substances which are present in synaptic vesicle are said to be as the neurotransmitters. Definitely in the case of the synaptic vesicle, whatever the chemical substances which are present, that chemical substances are said to be as the neurotransmitter. What is the meaning of the neurotransmitter? Neuro means nerve information, transmit means transfer. This chemical substances, whenever they are releases into the synaptic cleft, that chemical substances pass the message to postsynaptic neuron. These neurotransmitters are the chemical substances whenever they release into the synaptic cleft, from where they reaches to the postsynaptic neuron. By that way they pass the message. In that way, chemical substances which can passes the message from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron through the synaptic cleft, that kind of the chemical substances are said to be as the neurotransmitters. Again, depending upon the diameter of the synaptic cleft, depending upon the size of the synaptic cleft, this synapses principally categorized into two types. Means whether this kind of the space is present between these two successive neurons or not, whether this synaptic cleft is wider or not, whether this synaptic cleft is present or not, depending upon that, this synapses principally categorized into two types. What are the two types of the synapses? What is the difference between them? Means, first type of the synapse is electrical synapse. First type of the synapse is electrical synapse or gap junctions. These are also called as the gap junction. Second type of the synapse is the chemical synapse. Second type of the synapse is said to be as the chemical synapse. Depending upon the diameter of synaptic cleft, depending upon the diameter of the synaptic cleft, this synapses principally categorized into two types. One is the electrical synapse, second one is the chemical synapse. Definitely in the electrical synapses, synaptic cleft is narrow or absent. Definitely in this case, this pre and post synaptic neurons lies very close to each other. In this case, pre and post synaptic neurons are lies very close to each other. By that way, almost synaptic cleft is absent. If it is present, that is very narrow. Definitely in the case of the electrical synapses or gap junctions, synaptic cleft is very narrow or absent, but in the chemical synapse, synaptic cleft is wider. It is wider, means definitely pre and post synaptic neurons are keep away from each other. That is the wider. Second one is that presynaptic neurons. In presynaptic neurons, nerve impulse travel or conduction speed of nerve impulse is very fast. Definitely in the case of the electrical synapses, nerve information is conducted very fastly from one neuron to another neuron, but in the chemical synapse, conduction speed of nerve impulse is slow. That is slow. Again, third, in electrical synapse, bidirectional conduction is appears. Means what? Nerve information may be conducted from presynaptic neuron to post and from the post to free. In both directions also in this electrical synapses, information conduction is possible. In this kind of the electrical synapses, definitely nerve information can be conducted from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron, again from the postsynaptic neuron to presynaptic neuron. That is said to be as the bidirectional conduction. Bidirectional conduction is possible in electrical synapses, but in the case of the chemical synapse only, unidirectional conduction is appears in the case of the chemical synapse. Means only from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron only information can be able to conduct here. From the postsynaptic neuron to presynaptic neuron, information may not be conducted. In that way, in chemical synapses always only from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron information is conducted, but not in reverse way. That is said to be as the unidirectional conduction. Again in the electrical synapses, electrical signals are involved in conduction of information. Definitely information is processed through the electrical signals, but in the case of the chemical synapse, neurotransmitters are involved in conduction of information. In conduction of information or impulse. Definitely in the case of the chemical synapses, neurotransmitters are gets involved in the conduction of the information, but in the case of the electrical synapses, electrical signals are gets involved in the conduction of information. In that way, electrical synapses are very rare. These are not common. Electrical synapses are very rare in our body, but chemical synapses are very common. Definitely these are rare. These are rare in our body. These are common. Definitely these are common in our body. Most of the synapses which are present in our body are chemical synapses, but electrical synapses are very common, very rare, they are very rare. Means specifically this electrical synapses are very commonly appear in the heart of the person, and in epithelial tissue also it may be appears. But most of the synapses which are present in our body are nothing but chemical synapses. They are very common in our body. These are very rare. Next to electrical synapse.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యా రంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.